Hello and welcome everybody to Man's Model Moments Midweek Model Meet. Bit of a mouthful, but I got there. So good evening everybody. Just finished eating a yogurt. That's interesting information for you all, and I am drinking sparkling water tonight. Sort of peach flavored. And that's because I kind of need to rehydrate because I just went for a swim. So there we go, something healthy. And it's not actually a health drive at all. It's because we are currently having work done on the bathroom. So the one thing we wanted to do first, we want to get around to the kitchen as well. But that'll probably in about 3 or 4 years' time. But we wanted to change the bathroom because the bathroom only had a bath in it. It had a mixer shower. It also had an electric shower, which was garbage, just didn't work. It had a mixer shower on the bath taps. A proper built-in one, but still not ideal. So neither of us have baths. We both have showers. Obviously, Maria's Spanish, so she doesn't even like baths. So we wanted to put a shower in, free up a bit of room, get a heated towel rail, just generally make it ours. And so that work is happening this week. So as such, we don't have a shower at the moment. So the cheapest way I found to actually have a shower is to go to the local sports centre, go for a swim, and have a shower. So it's not a health drive. Don't worry, I haven't got a health fanatic or anything. But I did 20 minutes, and I haven't been swimming for probably 5 or 6 years, and it was absolutely, you forget. It uses kind of all the muscles in your body, so it's exhausting. It is exhausting. So I came back, and then I was like, I feel slightly lightheaded. I need to eat something. So I just had a yogurt, and then I thought I probably do need to keep hydrated rather than drinking beer. So, I mean the health bit as well. Having been swimming, I'm thinking, actually I could do this. We have a free swimming session, not free as in no charge, as in you can just turn up, pay your £6.75 and go and swim from 6 till 8. I think it's basically every day. So actually I could finish work, drop the dog at home, go for a swim, So maybe, you never know. Watch this space. Or we could get the shower done in the next day and I'll just be like, nah. So anyway, completely non-model related and nothing to do with anything really, but just thought I'd let you all in on that little factoid. So let me just get up to the top of the chat and just see who's in this evening. We've got Julian Hall, we've got Adrian Hook, we've got Casey, welcome. Morning, of course, for Casey, evening here. We've got Little Things Junkie, we've got David Markey. We have Bugler75, who is listening in from work. Excellent. Lox9, BS1WL. Drew. I should just say Drew, shouldn't I? It's just I get used to reading the tags. We've got Graham Bull. We've got Mario Saliba. All the usual crowd, which is good. Phil, we've got. Now, I've just put, as I'm just going down the chat, I've just put in a list of all the kits that I have to potentially look at tonight. I don't know whether I'll get through them all, which is why I put the list up. I've also put it in the video description, and it makes a lot more sense there because I just cut and paste it into this, and I can see it's just jammed it all together and then thrown it over like 3 messages. So it looks a mess in the comments, so I apologize for that. But I've numbered them all. So we have a baker's dozen plus 1 kind of mystery kit. And basically I put numbers on them all so that I can get you guys to choose which order we do them in. So we can have like a show of virtual hands, as you all tell me the numbers you want. And then I'll do kind of that order and we'll go from there. So that's kind of the thought process behind it. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. We'll see. And we've got Taggers. Good to see you. We got World War II scale models, Dave. Good evening, Dave. Good to see you. We have John Christmas, Dave Fairclough. We've got Gav. We have Greg 57, George Davis, Steve Horman. Good to see you, Steve. Not a name I've seen that I recognise. I'm terrible with names, so you could have been in every single time, and I may have missed it. But Howard Kendrick. I've got Ian Ellison. Got Steve's Gaming. Good to see you. Got Nick Johnson, Mystery Box Nick. Got NDR1 Simon. And Simon's Modelling Shed. Good to see you guys in tonight. And we got Dutch Dave, the Flying Dutchman. Good to see you guys. So yeah, tonight I thought I would, after going through the Jaguar with Luke and Moss last time, I thought I would look at some of the kits that I have for review. Some are recent releases, new toolings. Some are tools which have had bits added to them. And some are just ones that I've just, like, for instance, the Bristol Beaufort Mark 1A, the torpedo bomber. It's just a really nice kit, and I really like the scheme on it. And it was released recently by ICM. It's a kit I've built. I built the Beaufort, not in torpedo bomber format, but it's worth a look and pointing out some of the things, because actually I showed it to the Hornby rep who came by today, and I showed him my almost finished build, and it reminded me, because it's up on a shelf, I'd completely forgotten about it, and I thought I should really finish that and put it out as a video, because it's a really, really nice kit. It looks fantastic. So yeah, I thought we'll do that. So it's really over to you guys as to what kit I look at first. I've just realised that Beaufort, look at that. That isn't dust. That is overspray from rattle cans. So where I've primed stuff in the shop, just at my desk. Very bad, very bad. I know, doing it inside. And it's just where the overspray is full. And I've just realised that. Oops. You should always wear a mask and do this stuff outside. And that's why, because all that stuff otherwise is in the air and you breathe it in your lungs, which isn't good. Do as I say, not as I do. Lewis Cleveland, good evening. Good to see you. It is indeed, Casey, you are absolutely right. That is why you need PPE. And if only I listened to myself. Oh, excuse me. Hiccuping while drinking, that's not a good thing. So if you guys want to, let me actually see if I can copy and paste this a little bit better. Let's do them sort of 5 at a time. So that's the first 5. Still didn't come out very well, did it? Okay, here's the next 5. Can I kind of, no, they don't. And here's the last 4. At least they have the numbers next to them there. So if you guys want to have a look at those lists and put in the number of the kit you'd like me to look at first, and I'll dig that one out of the boxes I have around me. I'll have to get up for some of them because they're pretty big boxes, a lot of them. I mean, just to give you an example, this one, which my dog appears to have chewed the corner of. You know, it is, that's how thick it is. It's like a big old substantial box. That is, you know. Ooh, wow, that was an interesting effect there. Okay. 14, lots of people. It's, you put a mystery box in and everybody's like, what's in the box? What's in the box? So we've got, let's see, 148th Beaufort. You'll have to look at what number that is, because otherwise it's difficult for me to actually pick them out. So we got a couple of 14s, 3 14s. We've got 3 5s straight off the bat. It's between 5, 14, I think at the moment. 14, I think, has just pulled ahead there. Of course, I like mystery boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 14 is leading at the moment. And 10, 4, 12. Okay, so we're a bit all over the place, but the 2 that are coming out, and I'm seeing a lot of, are 14 and 5. So let's do 14 and 5 first. What was 5? I'm just going to go to my video. Oh, Monty's Caravan. Yeah, I thought that one was going to be popular. Okay, so 14. Okay, let's do the mystery box first. Now, the mystery box is not a new kit. It's actually one I picked up at Yeovil Model Show. And it's a favorite aircraft of mine. It actually dates back to, I think, 1987-ish. And it's from a company that only existed, and some of you will know what I'm going to say. Because I have mentioned them before. It is a company called Trimaster. So this is the kit. It is the, ooh, get the weird interference effect. It's the Focke-Wulf 190 D12 Torpedo Flugzeug by Trimaster. And the reason that I chose this, and the reason I picked it up, is Trimaster were only around for about 4 years. And essentially, I don't know if any of you recognize the font of Trimaster, because when they went out of business, they were purchased, all of their tools were purchased by Dragon. So if any of you have ever done a Dragon kit, and it's part of the Master series, that Master series is in the same font as Trimaster, because they are the Trimaster tooling. Now, bear in mind that, so Trimaster was a Japanese manufacturer, as I say, from 1987. Bear in mind that the Jaguar, the original Jaguar, was tooled in 1994, 7 years. So after this kit, after this company went bust. And yet, I'm going to switch over to the other camera in a second. Some of you may recognize the kind of style of, let me see if I can get that there. See, the style of instructions is very much like the Dragon instructions. You may recognize the way that they lay everything out. Looks very much like Dragon instructions, because Dragon just basically stole the way they were doing it, because Trimaster were well ahead of their time in terms of the tooling and in terms of what they provided you. So instructions, fairly standard, you know, state of the art for the time, but fairly standard. But let me swap over to the other camera and show you what I like about this kit. Well, there's several things that I like about it and was interested in is showing you. Okay. So decal sheet, fairly standard. Oh, it's still got virtual background on. Apologies. Let me take that off. There we go. that was a bit weird. So here are the decals, separately bagged, which is nice. Transparency also, in the bag. That's all fairly standard, right? We have the main sprues. So this is untouched. This is unopened since it was made. But hopefully you can see. Can you see? I don't really want to open the bag just now. Well, that's silly, isn't it? It's an unboxing. Of course I want to open the bag. Just stapled shut, but let me show you perhaps in this part. So bear in mind, this is 1987. Let's see, is this going to focus? Now, if you look at the detailing in the wheel bay here, for a 1987 kit, this is kind of state of the art, right? Individual props to put in the spinner there. You've got, individual pieces for the headrest, etc. It might not seem much by today's standards, but I'll show you the main fuselage here and how delicate these are. Engraved panel lines, engraved detail. This is absolutely state of the art. This would not look amiss in many kits today. So really good detail. Okay, that's just the base casting, but that's not what I wanted to show you really. They also give you this additional little box here, which, if you think about trumpeter kits and hobby boss kits now, is the kind of thing that they do. But again, this is predating them by 15 years, really. If I open this up, so you get photo etch, pretty good photo etch. Okay, get 2 sheets of photo etch. You get white metal pieces. So that is I think that is the torpedo rack, a little seat, and the rear undercarriage. You get metal bagged main undercarriage legs and individual inserts for the exhausts, and you also get some material for the cannon barrels, etc. So pretty much all of the stuff that you need to create really quite an exceptionally detailed model. Again, 1987. This kit cost me £10. I snapped it up when I saw it. Now, one of the things, and if you've done a Dragon version of this kit, you'll know, is that some of the fit of this makes you work a little bit. Some of the fit isn't what you'd want, and you have to be careful because all of this detail is obviously so fine that it's easy, if you don't get things fitting well, that you remove a lot of this when cleaning it up. But I think for its time, these were light years ahead. If you think about what Airfix was doing at the time, you think of Revell in 1987. It wasn't really until the early 90s that Revell got their act together making kits. So it's a really interesting little piece of history, I find. The reason that they went bust essentially is because, I'll switch back to the other camera a second. So kits like that at the time cost $60. $60, which is about £180 in today's money, adjusted for inflation. That's why they went bust, because it was a tiny, tiny niche market. So obviously all of that stuff, which today wouldn't, and even in the 90s, photo etch production costs came right down. So it was just not a sustainable business model that they had. So hence, when Dragon bought the toolings from them, they basically took all of the pieces that were done in the white metal and stuff there, put those into injection molding, lowered the prices, and bang, you got the very nicely detailed Dragon Master Series in injection molded plastic at a price that people could afford. So it's a nice little piece of history, I think. And they do make really nice models. So I've done a I think it is the D12, not the Torpedo version, but in Defense of the Reich pattern. Yes, I will have to flag this video for. There's different things in monetization, and one of them is hate speech. And the lowest level is depiction of symbols without, promoting the ideology and stuff. So I will tick that little thing and put a disclaimer on this stream, because that kit included swastikas. Although censorship, if you want to call it that, is not new, because it's not on the box. Why is it not on the box? Because obviously they wanted to be able to market the kits anywhere, and you can't market stuff in Germany if it has a banned symbol. So yeah, that is the oddball mystery kit that I brought as kind of like, I thought, not a lot of people know about Trimaster. Now I've talked to people in the shop about Trimaster, and a lot of people are just like, Trimaster? So Travis says, I built the Trimaster ME262. It did not like extra thin cement. It popped seams constantly. Yeah, it's I haven't tried an actual Trimaster kit. This will be my first Trimaster. I've built Dragon tooling, or actually it's a Revell boxing of the Dragon tooling or impression of the Trimaster tooling. So it's a few iterations down. But I've not actually tried a Trimaster one, so watch this space. I might have to get the MEK out or something. Beyond Scale Model says, unfortunately, it's a pain in the axe, that kit. Yeah, it's yeah. So the Dragon kits do include small amounts of photo etch, like they're usually like 1 or 2 pieces, not the extent of the Trimaster ones. So yeah, I mean, some discussion of banned symbols. We've said this before. It's YouTube's playground. They get to make the rules, regardless of how do I put this politely, nonsensically they're applied. Unfortunately, we have to play by their interpretation rather than, actually. I mean, we're all grown-ups. We all understand. None of us are, flag-waving fascists. And we all understand the historical implications of it. But again, it's YouTube's playground. I think it's a mistake to ban these things in the way that they do, because it just buries it. I think it's far better to have the discussion. But anyway, hopefully, I don't think any of the other kits I have that symbol, so we should be good. So number 5 is next. Monty's Caravan. This, so this was released this month, I do have them in the shop. They're not on the website yet because I got a massive order in, and I've only just today managed to put all of it on the shelves. I had to reorganize stuff quite a lot. So this is it's not actually that big a box, considering, but it is full. It is quite a hefty thing. So again, let me switch over to my other camera. In fact, I shall pull it up a little bit so you get a bit better view. Let's go to this, and let's get rid of any virtual background so you don't get weird things happening. And then we can show you that. Now, let me see if I can raise up my camera a little bit. So here it is, Monty's office Caravan. So it's a standard kind of ICM box, glossy exterior, and then the nice robust flip top lid. And then as I say, it's very full. There's no room in here at all. And a lot of screws there. A lot of sprue frames. Including some photo etch. You can see the top there. Ubiquitous little pink leaflet. And instructions. Come on, refocus, please. Hello. Is it going to focus? Come on. Hopefully it gets there in the end. So instructions very much what you'd expect. I'm trying to find these because I think this is interesting, because they've actually got all of the pictures that Monty had in his Caravan. So these are all, let me, no, I'll just put it further away. I'm going to bring it in, get you as close as I can here, so you can see this in detail. A little bit, trying to get rid of that reflection. You can see he had pictures of all of these generals and field marshals and stuff, almost like the deck of cards that they had in Iraq, you know, of all the enemy leaders. I thought that was quite interesting that they've, and the reproduction on these are decals, and you know, they look absolutely phenomenal. So, well, that was a nice little touch. Let's get a bit further out. So yeah, instructions, you know, standard. You do get video instructions. There are a set of video instructions on YouTube, so you can go and have a look at those. You should actually be able to scan that directly off the screen here. I've watched it. It's pretty good. So it has literally everything. It even has his shower and stuff. it goes down to some extreme detail. So, you know, standard set of instructions, standard ICM sort of format. You can see there's quite a lot to it because it obviously does have the complete interior. It's also got a little cutout for his rug and a little cutout, although most probably will paint it, but for the bathroom floor. A couple of different variations of the camo on the actual thing, although most people, I imagine, will think of Monty's Caravan as in the desert scheme rather than as the others. So look at plastic. I've not opened this yet. I don't think I've opened any of the kits I've got tonight other than the Trimaster. So it isn't cheap, this kit, but you do get quite a lot in it. So we've got a couple of transparency sprues. They look, very much ICM's normal fare, very optically clear, very nice. I don't think there's anything too much we can learn from looking at those. Photo etch, obviously for the front grille, that's very fine. I mean, you can see practically completely through it. That's very nice, and it's a single piece by the looks of it. I think you've got two little pieces for something as well, but it's mainly this front radiator, which is nice. Not lots of bending, which is good. Let's just move this across so we can get a better view against the white. So that is obviously the front and the tarpaulin cover there. Nice detail on it. Obviously got vinyl tires. And then a lot of sprues for the interior. It's the top canvas cover. Again, you've got to just see, hopefully, a little bit of the sort of texturing for the stretched canvas. Kind of just see it as I'm putting it in the light there. Well, these are, of course, are all the interior bulkheads and paneling. And this is the floor, obviously, with all of that's the underside where the chassis goes. And this is where, I think that's where his desk goes. This, I think, is the bathroom area with the shower. I think he's even got his toilet. There's the sides. So you have the texture of the canvas at the sides, and then the tie downs represented here, which are pretty good, actually. I mean, some people might want to carve them off and use cable, but for me, I think those are good enough. I don't think I would want to mess. Got the door. I think that's the entrance door. I think that's the toilet door. Bathroom door, I should say. So you've got the complete interior. And then obviously as well, you've got the full chassis of the truck itself. And as with most ICM kits, they usually supply the engine. Got what looks like various differential pieces. More main pieces of the truck. So these are the sides of the chassis. Got part of the suspension on the front there. Obviously the radiator without the photo etch. The wheels. A couple of sprues for those. These very fine pieces, which I don't know whether you will use in this version, probably not. I find with these, the easiest way to remove these very thin pieces from ICM sprues is to actually like cut the whole thing off and then trim this away from this piece rather than trying to get in and cut these little bits which can stress these pieces. And it's best to actually cut this away from that, because then you're putting the strain on this little gate rather than on here. Little fiddly bits. I think these are probably some of the picture frames and cupboards, desk pieces, etc. And then that's all of the suspension, drive, steering wheel, for instance. All the way down to these, tiny little fiddly bits. Don't know what they are, but they'll go somewhere. So there we go. That's Monty's Caravan. I've managed to take a little bit off there. I have to make sure that goes back in the bag. Otherwise, I'm going to get to a point and think, where is that tiny little piece? Okay, it's in. Captured. So there's a lot in that bag. Now, can I get it all back in without breaking anything? Should I even try? I'll put all of this in at once. There we go. It's actually not as bad as I thought it might be. So yeah, a lot of stuff. I would say, unfortunately, you don't really get a sense of the vehicle because it's broken down so much, as ICM do, into all the individual pieces. It's not like you can see, well, here is the body of the truck, because, it's all in these little elements. But I'd encourage you to go and have a look at that video, because it goes through the entire construction and shows you exactly how it goes together, and all the different bits. And there you can see the whole thing kind of coming together. It really does look rather nice. So, it says interior included, and indeed it does include the, the complete thing, down to, as you saw, the pictures on the wall. Right, let me have a little look back at the chat, because obviously I can't look at the chat whilst I'm doing these picture decals would look great on plastic art to give them some depth. Ditto the carpet. So the pictures, the decals, actually do go on. I'll swap cameras while I'm talking. So the decals actually do go on. I think I tried to show them little picture frames. So they do actually have, so you can obviously paint the picture frame first and then put the decal on, so you've got the framing around it, and to give that depth. I mean, the carpet, I mean, that's up to you, I guess. If you wanted, you could always go to like kind of doll's house kind of carpet. That's probably a little bit thick. I don't know. You could always paint one, make one. Anything's possible. Yeah, the little things, Junkie. Yeah, Monty had his own shower. He was an unusual chap, Monty. And there are various accounts of Monty, obviously from World War II. And I think famously, Patton was quite scathing of him at various times. But he was also brilliant. But I don't think he had the common touch, really. Let's say. So let me just have a little look. Andrew Gittins, welcome. I didn't see you previously. Nearly bought the ICM Beaufort, but went for the A26 instead. Working up to that, went for ICM after recommendation from Chapping at Antiques Model Shop in Cardiff, which is sadly closing. Yes, indeed. The Beaufort is beautiful. I haven't built the A26 yet. I do have the A26 to build, but I haven't got there yet. So I'm kind of the opposite way around to you, Andrew. Indeed, there is a companion figure set. I did look at that before I moved, actually. And Monty does, the Monty figure does look like Monty. They have a dedicated figure sculptor, ICM, who I think that's all he does. And he sculpts by hand. So none of it is done by CAD at ICM, the figures. And he's really good. He's very talented. Okay. Hi, John. Welcome. Good to see you. Okay. So, two kits down. Potentially up to 12 to go. What would you guys like to see next? Have a look at the video description. Scroll up in the chat and put the number of what you would like to see. Let me have a look at next. Yes, indeed, Julian. You know, Patton, the general sacked for hitting a soldier in hospital, was scathing of Monty. Good recommendation from Monty. Okay, Little Things Junkie would like 12, Grown Ball 9, Burrows 7, 8. Wow, we've all so no commonality yet. Another 12. 1 and 11. 12 is 12 and 9 are neck and neck. You guys aren't helping me with all these different numbers. House, indeed. Well, 12 and 9 have both got 2 votes each, I believe. So, as they're the only ones that have 2 votes each, 12 or 9, guys, what do you reckon? What is going to be next? 12 is the MiniArt Pack 40 R60. 9 is, oh, the various tin Lizzies. Oh, interesting. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to, 12, 12. 12 has 3 votes, as does 10. Oh, okay. I'm glad somebody is keeping vote for me. 12, 10. Okay, so 12. I think the MiniArt is winning out here. So let's grab the R60. Which I've been looking forward to, actually. Here it is. The R60. Selbstfahrlafette RSO. Some really nice, I mean, on all of these, different style for Monty's Caravan and for the RSO. Really good. Both of them. And this is kind of the hyper-realistic, which is a style I do like. This is slightly more artistic, but still excellent art. So let's have a little top opening box. pretty flimsy lid, but very sturdy corrugated box. Okay, let me swap you over. This isn't very, what's the word, slick, but then that's because obviously I don't have the ability to have two cameras at once because of, oh, okay. So this is split open, so a whole bunch of stuff just started falling out. That's not ideal. But yeah, I can't afford to pay something like, what is it, £65 a month or something ridiculous for the next level of StreamYard to give me access to two cameras at once. So I have to swap between them, I'm afraid, chaps. So again, a lot of plastic in the box. There is not much room here. I'm going to move this out of the way again, so you get better contrast on here. So this is a new tool, and I have this and the standard Rappenschlepper Ausf. So this obviously is part of the standard Rappenschlepper. So it looks like what they've done is they give you the complete Rappenschlepper and then the additional parts for the Pack 40 version. So you just grab the instruction. Which look very nice. Look at that. Nice glossy. So highly detailed plastic model kit, photo etch parts included, clear plastic parts included, all hatches can be assembled in open close position, metal surfaces and weld lines accurately represented on the model, decal sheet for 4 options. So you can see just by that profile and the parts I just showed you before, there were quite a few pieces that aren't used. Well, it doesn't actually call it out here that they're not, despite the fact obviously they aren't. But here you've got all the frame layouts. One thing I really do like here is the fact that they include a photo etch and a decal sheet on here, so you can see. I mean, nothing should be missing, obviously, but it just shows you. And then, obviously, there's quite a lot of these repeated. You get 2 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames there. You get 2 of. So you've got 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 frames of plastic. And in typical MiniArt fashion, you know, building it up from the kind of ground up, as you would expect. But it's interesting that they don't tell you what parts are not to be used here. But these are obviously the standard Rappenschlepper frames. And then this is obviously an additional frame because this has the base of the Pack 40. Looks like, so yeah, you can probably identify which are the additional ones. So it looks like they do just give you the Rappenschlepper plus stuff, which is nice, you know. Then you get into all of the building the engine. I mean, we know what MiniArt are like, right? One thing that I do like, and this will be my first MiniArt kit, is it's not individual track links, which is great because this was a fairly small vehicle. And I think individual track links on this would send anybody insane. But I mean, instructions are very clear. The Pack 40 looks incredibly detailed. You've got 3 different potential muzzle brakes on there, 3 different options. And obviously you can pose it with the sides up or down, combat position or stowed. And it gives you some recommendations for different figures. Whole bunch of this. I wish more companies would do. Color chart. They give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different manufacturers. I still think Italeri just pip this by putting FS numbers or equivalents, you know, rather than just arbitrary, you know, a range. But this is good that you've got this much choice, you know, rather than, you know, having to guess or just listing Humbrol, for instance, in Airfix kits. And then you have the very nice. I mean, these are beautiful. These pictures. Look at those. I mean, that's the kind of art that you would get in a reference book. Looks very good. There's a set of instructions. That's a pretty impressive booklet. So this is one of the, obviously, as I mentioned, the standard Rappenschlepper frames. And I mean, there's, what can you say about it? It's typically MiniArt. It's very crisply molded. It's got great detail. Let me bring you in a bit further. I won't put the macro lens on. I don't think it's needed. You should be able to see. Look at the detail and how crisp this is. You know, it's just very much state-of-the-art 2020s tooling. Pretty much as you'd expect. You know, you can't really get that much better. Let's take a little look at some tracks. So length and link tracks, which I do appreciate, but again, extremely detailed, you know, very crisply molded. You know, you've got no webbing or flashing between these links. Just very nicely done. I mean, I don't even see ejector pin marks on those. That's pretty impressive, I must say, in terms of the casting quality. But it's a pretty small vehicle. I mean, this is 1/35th scale. These are obviously the drive wheels and sprockets. You know, they're pretty small for an armored vehicle, obviously. And then now we start getting into the MiniArt stuff. You know, much like the ICM kit, you know, these tiny little pieces. I don't know what they're for, but you got some great detail on things like the tools there. And these things, obviously, the Rappenschlepper Ausf was specifically designed as a tractor for the Eastern Front to operate in their muddy conditions. So it's probably going to get heavily weathered this anyway. And I think you've got good scope to go to town on this. That's a repeat of sprue we had before. Wow, there's some very thin parts there. I don't know what these parts are, but they are tiny. I mean, it almost looks like there isn't a part there at all. Now, these are some of the individual links to go around those drive sprockets and the return rollers. Again, very, very nicely molded. I don't see any ejector pin marks on the parts themselves at all, which is phenomenal. So if MiniArt can do it, why can't some of the other main manufacturers? You know, these are probably more nicely molded than the actual parts were. When the actual parts were cast, I got into trouble with somebody on a comment who said that so I talked about a casting, and they said it's not a casting, it's a molding. And it's like, well, yeah, but you knew what I meant. Language is about communication. And apparently it was somebody who's been involved in injection molding for 50 years. And it's like, well, still doesn't, you know, I'm not impressed by names. I treat people and how they act. And if you act like an asshole, then, you know, I'm sorry. Don't you realize you're talking to so-and-so? It's like, no. Why would I? So these are all the engine components. Well, no, I'll take that back. They're not all of the engine components, but all of these are engine components by the looks of it. I mean, look at the block casting on this. Sorry, the molding on this block. In case I offend anybody else. Most of which will probably not be seen, but, you know, you have the option. So, I mean, it's extremely detailed, but I don't think, you know, considering it's a MiniArt kit, it doesn't seem OTT. You know, this seems kind of like a very detailed ICM kit, I would say. You know, I think an experienced modeler would be able to tackle this and not, you know, tear their hair out. I don't know if you can see this, whether it comes out on the, yeah, you can just. They've got the casting texture here of the plate, you know, the anti-slip plate. It's very subtle. It feels a bit like a file. You can just see the tread pattern. That's really nice. And that will dry brush and weather very nicely. This is the main, you can't really call it a crew compartment, can you? The little bit where they made you sit. That's probably all you can say about it. Okay, you know that bit when I said, you know, there's not over the top. Well, maybe I'll take some of that back. There's a lot of pieces here. And still the frames keep coming. But I mean, look at this. Look at that. Come on, camera. You can do it. Focus. Look how finely this piece is made. Some of the detail on it. Obviously part of the Pack 40. That's very nice. You know, the little adjustment wheels. Look, they even have knurling on the wheels. You know, as you would to manipulate them. That's going to be interesting to remove from the sprue. Nice little axe there, or hatchet. I mean, one thing with MiniArt kits is you really need, I think, single-bladed nippers. Trying to do this without single-bladed nippers would inevitably destroy something. Nice fabric texture here. You know, you've got the boot covers. All good. It is a single piece barrel, which is nice to see. So I'm just trying to see what the seam is like on it. Come on, camera. Doesn't really want to focus on that. It looks pretty good, actually. So I think minimal cleanup there. That looks pretty good. Okay, this I think is the other generic Wrap and Schlepper frame with various, chassis elements. Like this one goes underneath. Lots of small detail pieces. Lots of thin pieces. So those of you who are prone to breaking things on the sprues, this might be a little frustrating. Thank you, sweetie. This is 1-to-1 scale pizza. Right, let me swap over. There we go. So that looks really nice. There were some more frames as well with more small pieces. And this is the photo etch and decals. I'll pop those on the camera in a minute. But first, pizza. No, I missed the unboxing of the pizza. Maria did that. So let me just scroll up, see if there were any questions or comments on the MiniArt kit. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much packed in there. And I'm not a great fan of the MiniArt bags. They're kind of a bit thin and, and they're sealed. Whereas the ICM ones obviously have that resealable strip, so they're just folded down and then it seals. So you can put the stuff back in and then reseal it, which is great. MiniArt kits should come with a health warning. My last one built was Valentine and the tracks nearly broke me. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I was worrying about with the RSO. But actually, length and link in that don't look too bad. But as you say, when they're finished, you're rewarded for that effort, I think. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Dave. It looks like they have just put so it's much better value, actually, when buying just the RSO, because you get all of the Pack 40 as well. If you wanted to build an RSO and then have a separate Pack 40, you could. I think they're the same price. I don't think there's a difference. So yeah, just buy this one. Download the instructions for the RSO online, and there you go. So yeah, a lot of parts for the spares box, definitely. Locke says it looks much better than that Thunder Models kit. Thunder Models don't tell you what the sprue letters are on the sprue instructions. Oh no. So it's sort of like you have to guess. Wow. No, that was, Dave, that was actually one of my thoughts, especially when I saw the box art and I actually looked at, I always look at vehicles in research before I kind of go into any depth on them. This thing was armored. This front part was armored, but it was basically armored against like rifle, bullets, and shrapnel. It wasn't armored in any sort of meaningful way. So your main defense was speed, which it wasn't very fast. So yeah, I think the fact that it's small, I mean, it's an ambush predator, isn't it? You don't engage a whole line of tanks in this thing. This is for picking off, the odd T-34 or something that's in the wrong place at the wrong time. But braver men than I, certainly. because good God, if they found you, you know, a £2 round would take that thing out easily. Yeah. Since a lot of carpet monster food there. Yeah, you definitely do need an area where you can see pieces. Okay, I've not seen the Dragon RSO. Das Werk brought it out and it's rubbish. Oh, okay, thanks for the heads up. Okay, Beyond Scale Models says, great subjects for MiniArt. I built several from them, but I hate the low quality of the plastic, soft and brittle in an annoying manner. I've not, here we go. I'm going to do a live test. Okay. I mean, it's soft. Doesn't seem particularly brittle for me. Seems quite similar to ICM plastic, I would say, on first examination. But that's just using my Display single-bladed nippers on the plastic. Do excuse me when I stuff my face. My audio keeps going quiet. It's probably, I wonder, it might be when I switch cameras, it might switch to the BenQ, the other camera audio. I'll watch for that next time. Thanks for the heads up, Julian. Okay. Lox9 says, I think the plastic quality is a bit better than a few years ago. Okay. So obviously, after the invasion of the Ukraine by the Russians, MiniArt did relocate their factory to Poland. So they may have actually changed the plastic formulation, or if they were just using the plastic from the Polish factory, then, okay. Same plastic as ICM. So yeah, it may be that they changed away from that. So, okay. I really like ICM's plastic. I know some people find it soft, but I think it bonds pretty much instantly. It's soft. It holds a lot of detail. Soft without being... Okay. If you want soft, shitty plastic, then buy the Hella tooling or the Hella impression of the Airfix Jaguar. So the one that I'm about to release a video for. So members would have seen on the Discord, I put up a couple of photos of where they are at the moment. So they've had the decals on. They just need weathering. So I'm just going to do a basic weathering for the video, I think, and then go to town a little bit after that. So the 1994 one is the desert one. The plastic in that is so soft. So, you know, if you're cutting it, you can't rely on the edge of the kit to guide your blade because it will just carve into it. It's like butter. It's terrible. That was actually good because, oh my God, the two front halves are not the same size. So I had to do a lot of work on it, and the very soft plastic made it a lot easier because it was shocking. Okay. Right. I need another kit, chaps. Put your numbers in for the next kit while I put all of this plastic back in the box. And then I will quickly show you the decals and photo etch from this kit. And then grab the next one. But I need to know what that is. So numbers, please. God, there's a lot of plastic there. Okay, no, audio is still on my Yeti. So we're good for audio. As Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says, after the infinite improbability drive finishes, any problems you have now are entirely your own issue. Come on, focus. There we go. So these are the decals. I'm not going to take them out of here because it doesn't, I don't think it reseals, so I don't want to lose the photo etch. So you get plenty of different markings. I mean, it's a tiny little thing, so, and AFBs don't tend to have a lot of markings anyway. And the photo etch is fairly limited, which is a good thing, I think, especially in such a small kit. Looks like you've got some maybe handhold rings there or something. It looks like some straps, a couple of grills. So that I think is a reasonable photo etch fret, especially for something so effectively a very small vehicle. Okay. Okay. Oh, we got a lot of 10s. I see a lot of 10s. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it's 10. 10. What's 10? Oh, the Gripen. That's surprising. That is surprising. 48 scale Gripen, right. Where is it? Gripen. Look, I haven't even got a price on it. Just because I put the labels on and then realised I'm probably going to swipe this to do an unboxing. The one in the shop has a price. I think it's, these aren't a lot. I think they're 20, 24, I want to say. Something like that. So, new decals edition. Whatever that means. So let me just swap to the other camera just to show you the box. So that is the Gripen twin-seater JS39D. So pop opening box, standard Italeri, thickness, sort of average, I would say. Standard kind of Italeri instructions. Ooh, I like this. That looks nice. So it looks like you've got some decals here for the cockpit. A lot of stuff for stores from the looks of it. Oh my god, the AMRAMs, a lot of AMRAMs. But I do like these, which I'm guessing is going to be the main scheme that people are going to do, right? Is that a Czech one? Yeah, looks like it's a Czech one. The Swedish one looks pretty boring. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. Yeah. Well, if I do this kit, it's going to be that one, isn't it? Because I love that tail art. Okay, so instructions, unfortunately, are this massive fold-out sheet, which I don't like. Oh, you do have things like this. You've got a little radar there. Not very detailed, but somebody was asking me about kits today, actually. Who's the best manufacturer for larger scale kits? And as always, the conversation ended up in it depends. But I said Italeri, I was quite fond of Italeri in the sort of 90s, early 2000s. They produced decent kits, decent level of detail, not the most detailed, but you can, you know, put extra stuff in there, obviously. And for a reasonable price. And this, I think, is probably looking like it is of the age. Speaking of which, I believe it is that kind of age itself. Let me just see. JAS 39D. Not very many people who have made it. It's a kit. It is a full kit. Oh. Well, that's not correct, is it? Okay, it comes from 2005. So this is a 20-year-old kit. So yeah, which is kind of what I expected. The usual sealed recyclable plastic bag. Separately bagged transparency. Catching on something. There we go. Yeah, transparency looks pretty good. Can't see any obvious defects. So let's start with the cockpit. And this is going to show basically what I think is going to apply to the rest of the kit. Oh, hello, Trim. Didn't see you there. So you basically have a very basic cockpit. I mean, you know, you got an impression of some detail, but it kind of looks very generic. You got nothing on here. It's relying on the decals. Ejection seat looks okay. You know, nothing stellar, but will probably be okay. That's an ejector pin mark. What we were just saying on the MiniArt kit about how it didn't have any. And there we go. First off, ejector pin marks right in there. AMRAMs look pretty good. They're probably 120Cs, I imagine. Shame it doesn't have meteors, but there we go. So, kind of basic. Looking at the fuselage, you know, you have engraved detail. It's a little on the heavy-handed side. It's kind of its time, but not bad, you know. Because again, we're creating the illusion of a subject, you know, in the scale, not an exact representation. So I don't mind slightly deep, you know, slightly wide panel lines, because all they are there for is to hold a wash, basically, to give that impression of the actuality. They're not meant to reflect what is actually there, because if they were, everything would be smooth. But this is typical of Italeri around the turn of the century, I would say. You know, decent, cheap, and you make of it what you will. So I imagine this will build up to look like a nice kit. Not required much. If you wanted to go to town on the cockpit, you know, aftermarket is going to be your friend there. You know, it's £24, or it's £24, £27, I think. So it gives you the scope to be able to do that, you know, at a reasonable cost. Again, you know, you've got these bays, they have, again, sort of an approximation of detail, just so there's something there. But again, if this is sitting on the ground, you're not going to see much of that. So it's kind of like, it gives you that impression if somebody looks. You know, same for this, where you could have the radar dish. You know, that's not really how it looks, I'm sure. So, yeah. You know, you have hub detail here, which I don't think is probably actually how it looks. But you do have some nice things, like you've got this grill, open grill, which is actually not really suffering from too much in the way of flash, a little bit at the edges here for the cannon. I think it's a Mauser cannon, isn't it? So it's that kind of pays your money, takes your choice. You know, a lot of people will be like, oh, this is terrible. You know, it's got horrible lines. You've got no options here. It's like, yeah, but it's £24. I mean, this, it's about the same size as the Jaguar. This is certainly leagues better than the 1994, you know, 10-year earlier rendition of the Airfix Jaguar. It's not up to today's standards of the Jaguar, but it is less than half the price. So if you get this, if you get a resin set for the cockpit, you know, maybe 3D printer a can for it, although to be honest, the Gripen's rear burner is pretty dull. You know, you could get some aftermarket or a 3D printed undercarriage. You know, they kind of give you, I feel like these kind of Italeri kits give you the basic, you know, the basis of a model. You're not going to get something that doesn't need, well, okay, you could build this and it's going to look like a Gripen from 3 feet away. You know, you can paint it, you can do some nice weathering and stuff, and it'll look good. If people look closer, they'll see it's not the most detailed one. But I bet you would enjoy it. You'd have a good time. It will probably fit together okay. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think for the price point, that's more than acceptable. If it was £35 or £40, that's a different story, but it's not. So, you know, it's pretty basic. You get three frames in there, plus the transparency. I mean, the transparency does look decent. There's no obvious mold lines on that. Looks pretty reasonable. I think you could only have it closed, so that doesn't really matter too much. There's not that much detail in the cockpit, I guess. But I mean, £24, and you're getting this decal sheet, which again is going to be cartograph, right? That's not bad, because the decals are going to be beautiful. You know, if they're cartograph, which I think Italeri do use, they're going to go on nicely. These are almost, now they're not 3D decals, but they almost feel textured. Maybe it's just because how thick they have to print them with multiple pieces. But, you know, it's going to give you an impression through what you can see, which isn't going to be an awful lot. It's South African. So there we go. Basic, but not too bad. I mean, it wasn't covered in flash. So there we go. Let me just have a quick look on comments. I concur on hella plastic. Sorry. Sorry, wow, I'm overexposed by quite a lot there. There we go. 124H fan is really soft, but bizarrely you get many of the parts repeated as clear plastic, but these are really hard and brittle. Yeah, I think it's basically like the technology of molding clear parts for those companies that have got it right, like ICM, like Airfix now, provided the QC is okay, is a lot. I think that's one of the big differentiators from old kits is when you got that, that transparent plastic that would craze as soon as you sort of start to put any pressure on it. And then, no matter how far away you cut it, the canopy from the thing, you always seem to get some clouding, from stress lines and stuff. That now you don't really get on a lot of these manufacturers. Whereas the helikits feel like they are still using 1970s technology. Yeah. Oh, Lux did not like the Italeri decals in my Thunderbolt, really thick and did not want to curve around the surface. Okay. Okay. Many thanks for the Hella Renault Turbo, whom we gave away a few weeks ago. Just one observation, though. 143 is such a bizarre scale. So 143rd basically comes from O scale. It is what it comes from train modeling. So train models are, O scale is 143rd. And that's basically what, if you think rail model layouts often have cars and vehicles there. So the 143rd scale kind of came out of that, I believe. Nitrim, thanks for popping in. Good to see you. Take care. Okay. Righty-ho. Yeah, the question of commission builds are a whole nother thing. They can get old quickly. One of the things I want to have a look at, purely, I'm going to choose next. I'm going to stick with the Italeri and go for this, the Bassotto Semovente. Principally because there's a few things here that I'm interested in. This is 100% new molds. So that's one thing. It also has a metal gun barrel, which I've never seen in an Italeri kit. Lincoln length tracks, which again is a good thing. Got some photo etch in there. It's also got 4 versions, a couple of Italian and a couple of German. Also, I think of all, Italians make pretty bad tanks. But there's no real surprises there. But the Semovente is the one for me that I think looks the best, and the camouflage schemes are cool. Italians did have some of the best camo schemes. Why is it the Axis guys got the cool camouflage schemes? We had to do, green. It's not fair. Why do the bad guys get the good uniforms? Okay. So standard box, as per the Gripen. In fact, it's exactly the same size as the Gripen. And it looks like, unfortunately, the same sort of fold out instruction. Oh, no. No. It looks like a fold out, but it's actually a booklet. So let me swap you over and have a little look at this. Switch it's a real pain having to switch between these. But anyway, so here's the descriptions. The usual description in every language you can think of. Okay, and straight away we have frame layouts showing us that you don't use a whole load of pieces. Interesting, which indicates to me that they are going to release this in other forms, which is a good thing. So pieces here aren't used. And pieces here aren't used. Oh, and a whole bunch of pieces aren't used here. Looks like you have a plastic gun barrel and a separate metal gun barrel. Interesting. I mean, the Semovente is, this is a 105mm gun on this one. They put all sorts of different guns in. Okay, so this is interesting. It looks like it's got pretty much a complete interior, which that's pretty good. Liking that. So all looks good. Length and length. This, I think, is a really good thing, where you have a what do you call it, contoured length piece, which actually shows track sag. That is genius, basically. Not that okay, the ironic thing is that in this particular vehicle you have skirts, so you don't see that at all. Oh, that's classic. Oh dear. But you know, this is really good that you've got the option for all these hatches with the drive components in. So this looks pretty nice. Like it says, alternative main gun barrel. Why would you use the plastic one if they give you a metal one? Unless the metal one's garbage, which I doubt. So this looks pretty good, especially given that, you know, you got the interior here, and because obviously it's a self-propelled gun, you can't see a huge amount even with the hatches open. So looks pretty good. Casey, we need to do Italian colours. I don't have many references on Italian colours. Okay. And then you have the gorgeous Italian paint schemes. And you have German ones. Yeah, that's a German one as well, though it looks like it's Italian camouflage. And that almost looks like an Italian one in German camouflage. But again, as I mentioned before, they quote FS numbers, which is really good. You know, much better than just giving, you know, Humbrol 90 or something, which is the closest to whatever color it's supposed to be in their range, which could mean anything, right? Not that FS numbers are definitive, but, you know, it's much better than giving you just a paint manufacturer's number. So as a set of instructions, doesn't look too bad. Oh dear, people, I've just seen something I don't like. Let's go over the pieces that are nice first. Decals. I mean, you don't get them at, you know, it's an AFV. You get a few markings. That's all we can say about that. Photo etch. Basically, looks like you get some straps to go over stowage. And a few of the pieces that looks like a sight for anti-aircraft gun, maybe? No, it can't be. Don't know what that is. I can feel it. Ooh. Let me have a little look here. Hopefully the camera will focus. Come on, camera. So it's an aluminium, turned aluminium barrel. That is rather nice. I mean, why wouldn't you use that? I like this turned aluminium because it means it's not too heavy, so it doesn't put a lot of strain on that joint. So it should bond to the plastic, you know, and not not want to pull it out. But that's rather good, I have to say. 4 marks to Italeri on that one. Stubby little gun though, isn't it? 105mm. I think it's 25 caliber. Now the bit that I don't like so much. That green. It's very green. Ooh, dark green. That's 70s green, isn't it? Why, Italeri? What's wrong with grey? Give us grey, please. It's just, why? Why? Okay. I just saw a question from Emma there, which is very good. How do you paint the aluminium? You prime it first. So use, I mean, I will use a rattle can primer on the whole thing to even out the surface and change paint, from painting on aluminium to painting on primer. Okay, so apart from the hideous color, let's have a little look. Let's zoom in a bit. I mean, it's okay. It's not the MiniArt casting, I can say that. I mean, these look rather nice, actually. You've got the writing on them. The green is very off-putting. That's nice. You've got the manufacturer's casting mark in there. Do you know, I think it would give a better impression if the plastic was grey. It's just, I don't know what it is. The green plastic just is a bit too 70s for me. So one of the things I think that manufacturers like ICM, like MiniArt, Tamiya, Academy have got better at over the years is protecting small pieces. Otherwise, this is what happens, right? So Italeri don't really. This is very traditional kind of frame layout, and this is what happens when you get that is, these pieces catch on stuff. Because if you don't have individually bagged sprues, they're next to other sprues, they'll catch on things and bend like that. And that is bending, of course, right where you are then going to exert pressure on this, making this very vulnerable. So, not the best. I mean, this doesn't look bad. It's just somehow the green plastic is really giving me a negative impression. Also, this is strange. Look at this. Where am I? Look here. It's like it's had other numbers here and other gates, and they've retasked. Look, that looks like it's been like there's an insert or something, or this tooling has been modified from another one. Maybe maybe they put an insert. I don't know. That's weird because it follows a straight line. Look, all the way down. It kind of cuts off. That's weird. I've never seen that before. Maybe they made a big mistake and had to like cut a piece out of a frame and then redo it or something. Interesting. So I'm trying to ignore the green. It's difficult, but this is quite nice. You know, you've got your ammo storage. These aren't so great. You see, I don't know if you caught it there. There's a bit of. Bear in mind, this is a brand new tool, and there was a little bit of flash, you know, here. A little bit of flash on stuff like that. The Breda MG, serviceable. It just gives not quite as good an impression. You know, there's nothing really that I can put my finger on here. See this piece again? It's got knocked in the. Partially because look, it just sticks out like that. So of course it's going to get bent. You know, just little pieces of thought like that, or thoughtlessness in these, are differences where, you know, more modern companies have thought about this a little bit more, and they engineer their frames just better, you know. And Airfix have got a lot better at that in the past 15 years or so. So there's nothing I can really put my finger on here to point to in terms of it being bad. It just seems to lack trying to avoid the word refinement, but that would be the word I use. I think Italeri are almost trying to be like an ICM, like a MiniArt, like Tamiya, and they just don't quite have the ability. It's like they're trying to compete in a league that they're not able to. You know, you've got very visible ejector pin marks on these, which may not be a problem. You know, it may be on the non-facing part. No, they're not ejector pin marks. I recall that statement. Those are actually locator pins of some description. But you do have ejector pin marks on other elements, which are out of sight. I'll give you that. But when MiniArt can do pieces without, you know, and you do have things like sink marks, you know, it's just a little impression of, say, a lack of finesse. It just seems a little bit more old-fashioned. Right, here you got that piece again. Look where they've cut something out of the frame. I'd love to know what that is. Now, I don't think we're going to see much different on this. Yes, I think Italeri, you know, I think Italieri's strength, if I were going to, you know, put them in a category and say what they're good at, I would say the Gripen right here is good. 24 pounds. It's a big piece of plastic. You know, it's not the best, but it's good value for money. You know, it's good bang for your buck. There's a fair amount of modeling in that 48 scale Gripen that you will enjoy, and you know, it's not going to be a difficult build. It's not going to be taxing and stuff. This, which is 30 odd pounds, yes, it's got more finesse, it's got more modeling and stuff, but it's getting into the same league as, you know, Tamiya and Academy and the Airfix Academy stuff and their own things. And it's like, when you get to there, they're not quite in that same league. So just give you an example. If you look at the face of this, and this is all tiny stuff now, right? We're talking about the face of this is extremely smooth, right? It just looks like plastic with little bumps on. Now, if you take if MiniArt did this, or if Trumpeter even, and this was, you know, supposed to be a steel plate, this would have some texture on it. Not that it would be like cast texture, but it would have something on it that wouldn't make it look like this. It's difficult because it's kind of a quality thing, a quality of the plastic and the casting or molding. So I shouldn't use casting. Told off again. Is that supposed to be like that? Or is that a short shot? Let me have a look at the instructions. I can't tell. No, it is supposed to be like that. That's good. It almost looked like it was mismolded. I'm glad it's not. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm talking about in this, or if it just sounds like I'm insane. You know, it's just, you know, this I think is great, even though you're not going to see it. These aren't bad, actually, the links. These are interesting because these are obviously not shells used with that gun, because they are not the same diameter as these. That looks like a 75mm round or something. That looks like 105. You got those, look like crew helmets. Looks like you might have German and Italian, actually. It's interesting. So, you know, there are things that I think are quite nice here, and then there's just that sort of niggling. That's just an identical sprue. Some little niggling bits that make it. It's more how it feels than anything. You know, like these pieces, for instance. So if you think about the MiniArt pieces that I pointed out on the Pack 40. Come on, focus. Come on, down here. Down here. Come on. There we go. And how precise they looked. And this just isn't quite there. You know? It's not bad. And probably when you put it together, you might not even notice, but it's just that feeling, I think. And let's face it, people are emotional, right? This isn't an exact science of why you buy things. People buy a lot with their gut, you know. So yeah, I'm slightly disappointed in that kit because I was really looking forward to it. Again, there's nothing really I can put my finger on that is like, oh, that looked terrible, but just didn't look quite there, you know. Let's just see if I missed any questions during that. What sort of primer? I'm thinking of metal skinning a P51, and I want to do D-Day stripes. So I use Autotech. It's what I sell in the shop. I've always had good results from it. So Autotech, it's just like a car paint. It's not specifically for plastic, so see, it's used on cars. It works great on plastic. It works well on metal. It's just that's what I was showing my fingers, the overspray from. So I primed both of the Jaguars in it, for instance. So yeah, you can buy, beyond scale models. Mentions there, Mr. Hobby Metal Primer. Yeah, you can. They're expensive for what they are. They do the job. I've never found a need for that. I think a lot of modeling products that people buy and recommend and swear by, I think if you go to the factory, it is generic stuff which is rebadged as model stuff. There's a lot of these things. Now there are some specifically made things, but I mean, washes, for instance, it's very easy to make an oil wash, but people swear by, I use a bitylum or whatever it is, the oils for this. It's just like, I've been using the same tubes because they last forever of De La Rowney oils, for literally decades. And artist stuff is usually better than the modeling stuff. So yeah, but use what you find works for you. I've just found that generally you don't need the bespoke stuff. It's like Games Workshop people. So I've sold 3 cans of Chaos Black primer spray. They're 14 quid, I think, ago, or 12 pounds ago, for a can which is like this big. I also sell in the shop an Autotech matte black spray. It's not said it's a primer, it's just matte black, and I use it as a primer. It's like this big, has twice the volume, and it's £11. People still buy the Games Workshop stuff. I would say that the Autotech stuff's better than the Chaos Black. But if people want to do that, that's their choice, right? Question. Would you prime on the sprue or once assembled? Okay, so I don't prime on the sprue unless I have to. Basically, one, I'm lazy. And if you prime on the sprue, you either have to protect the mating surfaces before you prime, which is work, or you have to scrape off the paint afterwards, which is work. So yeah, and you raised a very good point there, Julian. Priming does the engineering of kits now, some kits, not all, is so precise that adding, even 10, 30, 50 microns of paint onto a surface is enough that they won't fit. So yeah, so I usually, in fact, almost exclusively, I will prime after building. So, because I'm lazy. Okay. So I have to disagree here, beyond scale models, because they specifically state these are new molds. Now, either they're lying, which is possible, or bending the truth, let's say. But they do say it is new molds. So I'm taking them at their face value there. But I don't know. I wouldn't say disagree with you, but that's what I'm going on the basis of. Right, let me just scroll down. Okay, okay, yeah. Halford primer used to be great. I've used Halford primer before. Since I don't know how I found Autotech. I think it was like the local shop in Shaftesbury recommended it about 4 years ago. And yeah, I mean, now I sell it because I think it's that good. Could be new molds added, but generally they state if it is new parts, but I don't know. No, beyond scale models, just search Italia, right? Okay. Thanks for looking. But yeah, I mean, why use green plastic? So one of the reasons for priming, obviously, is to unify your finishes when you're metal and plastic. You've got etched, so you get an even painting surface. But obviously, if you've got green, and say you wanted to do, I don't know, a winter version. Starting from green, it means you've got to use a primer that's going to cover that green to start with. Grey is just a better color in plastic because it's neutral. It's grey, it's easy to cover. And you're kind of in the middle, so you can go anywhere from it. So it's just a weird choice, green, Anyway, they used to do a lot of, I don't know what they still do, but they used to do a lot of their German armor in like a sandy colored plastic, which is actually quite good, I find, because again, it's not that it's neutral, but it's nice light color, so it's easy to distinguish. The other problem I find with dark plastic, green, black, God forbid dark brown, is you lose definition. Because it's so dark, the contrast between pieces can sometimes be difficult. So it can be hard on the eyes, which, especially if your eyes are getting on a bit, it is not the best. So I think grey just works well. Why go away from it? What advantage is green? It's not like you're not going to paint it. No worries, Beyond. So. Yeah, see, I don't like those. I just don't like green. Never like green, really. Right, what time have we got? Oh my God, it's 10 o'clock already. Wow, I got so few of those kits looked at. 1, 2, 3, 4. We looked at 5 out of 14. Apologies for that. Well, I guess we'll have to do another. Well, if you guys want to, I guess we'll have to do another one of these. But time flies when you're having fun. I should have my microphone so it doesn't cover the time, so I can tell what I'm doing. Anyway, thank you all for joining me tonight and having a look at those. I hope what we looked at was informative, useful, maybe, gave you some purchasing decisions, perhaps. I think the Wrap and Schlepper looks great. I'm looking forward to that. Monty's Caravan, I think it's just a nice, interesting subject. I think it will make a nice little vignette with the figures as well, the Monty and his staff. I think that'll be quite good. I think the main trick for that will be finding a way to be able to get it so you can see the interior. So I think there is a lamp on the desk. I think maybe lighting that, making sure you get good lighting, all the windows open and stuff, could look quite special. Dwarvius, good to see you. Does anyone have any guidance as to how soon I can clear coat a model after applying the decals? When a deadline with my current model and any time-saving tips is appreciated. So, bad news, Dwarvius. The best thing to do is leave it as long as you can. The problem is obviously decals, and if you've used decal solutions as well, it depends. If they're not fully dry, so if you've got any moisture, any chemicals that haven't dried before you clear coat, it'll cause an issue. So they'll either blister or they'll react in some way. I always leave at least 24 hours before decaling and clear coating. And generally, I find 24 hours is a good time between doing a step like that and another step. So whether it's like painting to decaling, or I mean, sometimes I have shortcut that. But the clear coat, generally, because the worst thing in the world is you rush that part, you do the clear coat, and something reacts, and you're kind of screwed, you know. So yeah, unfortunately, I would say leave it at least overnight, preferably 24 hours, and you know, fingers crossed. But yeah, anyway, thank you all so much for joining. We are over the witching hour, so apologies for that. Time really ran away. Unbelievable. I'm going to finish my pizza. Thank you all for joining me. Have a very pleasant rest of your week, and I shall catch you on the next one. Okay, cheers guys.